Good afternoon. I'm Brendan Doherty.
And I'm Brendan Flato, and this is the Voice of Duquesne Live. Now in sports. The Duquesne men's tennis team improved to 2-3 on the season Saturday, taking down Ashland 5-2. Duquesne would sweep the doubles matches and win 4 of the 6 singles matches, with Enrique Lana, Ariel Kiratuna, Tancri Alfano, and Teo Papadopoulos successful on both sides for the Dukes. The men's team will be back in action on February 20th against Niagara. The women's team would have the same result on Sunday, topping St. Francis 5-2. This would improve the Dukes to a 3-3 record despite losing all 3 doubles matches. Victories by Malia Baddix, Naomi Lalin, Alexandra O'Brien, Denise Ariens Goliarte, and Tiashi Yakanina picking up singles wins. The women's team will travel to Dayton to open up A-10 play on Friday.
On Saturday, Duquesne's men's basketball team picked up their 3rd consecutive win, squeaking out an 88-86 victory over George Washington. The game featured 11 ties and 18 lead changes, making it an interesting game between 2 A-10 rivals. The Dukes improved to 14-10 and 6-5 in conference play. The game was tied at half, and GW would only build a 1-point lead with 6:47 remaining. Duquesne guard Terrence Ginyard would score the next 16 of Duquesne's points, as the Dukes would hold an 8-point lead with 1:03 to go. The lead would be cut to 2 points with 16 seconds on the clock, with Duquesne struggling from the free throw line in the final minute. Trey Autry would attempt a last-second three-pointer for the Revolutionaries, which would fall short, sealing the win for the Dukes. Head coach Drew Joyce highlighted how the two teams showed their strengths in the contest. They're a really good shooting team. We focused in on the defensive end. They made some tough shots, but we turned them over. Our ball pressure, I think, is where we really shined. For a close win, Joyce was proud of his team's grit and growth. I think we're growing up as a team. We got punched early in the game. They also hit some tough shots throughout the game. Maybe a few weeks ago, we let that run continue, but our guys are hustling. The Dukes return to action for a Valentine's Day clash at St. Bonaventure. The tip-off will be at 4 p.m. on Saturday.
On Wednesday, the Duquesne women's basketball team finally secured their first A-10 win of the season while snapping an 11-game losing streak. The Dukes took down Loyola Chicago by a final score of 67-55, improved to an 8-16 record overall. The Dukes would close the first quarter on a 9-2 run and the second on a 13-4 run, bringing a commanding 42-24 lead into the half. Duquesne would recover from a 10-3 Rambler run to start the second half. Still, the Ramblers went 0 for 9 from three-point range after halftime. The Dukes controlled the glass, winning the rebound battle 36-26, while adding 5 steals and 4 blocks. Head coach Dan Burt highlighted his team's perseverance after a tough stretch. We've been through an awful lot over the course of the last 30 through 40 days. We're far from complete, and one victory isn't going to make a complete success. But we're happy to get that one win. And we're going to keep talking about the small wins and how the small wins lead to big wins. Alexis Bordas explained, We've said all along that everyone makes it to the tournament, so anything can happen. And obviously, I'm sure teams are doubting us and taking us a little lightly. But we know how talented we are. The Dukes return to action at Fordham on Saturday, where the A-10 tilt will tip off at 2 p.m.
The Dukes bowling team competed this weekend at the Mount Shootout in Mount Joy, Pennsylvania, and finished 4th in the competition with a record of 8-5, drawing their overall record of the season to 41-35. Duquesne dropped their first matchup to Kutztown, but quickly recovered, winning over Wagner 10-39-522, and closed their first day with 4 consecutive victories. The first day victories included a 995-966 win over Malloy, a 6-point win over Maryland Eastern Shore, 1031-1025, and a 966-859 win over Howard. Duquesne's Day 1 lineup included Jasmine Scott, Anna Clark, Ivana Fraticelli, Emma Siersky, and Maribeth Baker. The Dukes opened Saturday with an 1199-1026 win over number 8 Niagara, but fell in the second matchup against number 20 Bryant, 1083-1047. Duquesne came back with 3 consecutive wins, including a 1022-935 victory over Mercyhurst, a 1035-940 win over FDU, and an 1101-747 win over Holy Family. Duquesne will travel to the Steel City Bowl and Brews in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, to compete from February 13th until Saturday, February 15th.
The women's diving team competed last Saturday against Claren and Grove City at the Waldo S. Tippin Natorium. In the 3-meter dive, sophomore Brianne Dempsey took gold with the final score of 279. Senior Ashley Fileski finished fourth with a score of 251, followed by freshman Ellie Hearn in fifth with a score of 243. Graduate student Lola Dragosavich placed seventh at 241. Freshman Grace Hedger finished with a score of 235, and Erin Castanero posted a 219. In the 1 meter event, Dragosavich placed second, Dempsey placed third, and Fileski placed fourth, each with a diving zone qualifying score. With this event, Fileski has qualified in both the 1 meter and 3 meter events. Horan placed fifth, with Hedger following in sixth, while Castanero finished with a final score of 214. The Dukes will travel to Hampton, Virginia for the Atlantic 10 Championship on February 18th through Saturday, February 21st.
This past Saturday, the women's track and field team competed at the Penn State Skies and Savick Invitational in a record-setting fashion. Freshman Sylvia Koschak ran the fastest 1,000-meter time by a Duquesne freshman in program history while placing second in the race. She crossed the line at 2:52, which also happens to be a time that ranks third overall in school history. Sophomore Rose Kuchera set a program record in the triple jump, breaking a record that has stood since 2014. She jumped 12.44 meters, or 40 feet and 9.75 inches, which currently ranks her second in the A10 for the season. Junior Anna Rorer also had a standout performance in the 60-meter hurdles with a time of 8.71 seconds, which moved her to number 2 all-time at Duquesne. Lauren Stroka recorded a personal best triple jump, placing fourth, with teammate Devlin Faber placing eighth in the same event. Melanie Schmidt, Isabella Costa, Eva Leatherman, and Selma Bajoric placed fourth in the 4x400-meter relay. The Dukes compete again tomorrow at Youngstown for the YSU Last Chance Invitational.
Now let's head over to Donovan Shanley with this week's weather.
Thanks, guys. So finally, we're beginning to see better temperatures. We're finally beginning to see temperatures in the double digits. So on Friday, it's a 65% chance of rain with a 27-degree high and a 14-degree low. On Saturday, it's a 20-degree high and a 2-degree low. And then on Sunday, we'll be seeing a high of 20 and a 0-degree low. And then on Monday, it will be a high of 32 and a low of 10. On Tuesday, it'll be a high of 36 and a high of 23. On Wednesday, it'll be a high of 36 and a low of 28. And on Thursday, 35% chance of snow with a high of 36 and a low of 27. So definitely better temperatures than we've been seeing the past few weeks. Now let's head over to the Rome campus, where they are getting absolutely poured on. Rain every one of the days of the week for Rome. On Friday, it'll be a 95% chance of rain with a high of 61, low of 48. On Saturday, an 80% chance of rain with a high of 57 and a low of 47. On Sunday, it'll be an 80% chance of rain as well with a high of 57 and a low of 45. Then on Monday, it will be an 85% chance of rain, high of 57 and a low of 46. On Tuesday, it'll be a 50% chance of rain with a 56-degree high, 42-degree low. On Wednesday, a 70% chance of rain with a 59-degree high and a 44-degree low. And then on Thursday, it'll be a 65% chance of rain with a high of 59 and a low of 44. Now let's head over to our Dublin campus, where they're seeing rain 6 out of the 7 days of the week. So still better than Rome, but still they are getting poured on as well. So on Friday, they will have a 95% chance of rain with a high of 46, a low of 42. A 65% chance of rain with a 48-degree high and a 44-degree low. And then on Sunday, it'll finally clear up for a day where it'll be a high of 49, a low of 42. Then on Monday, it'll be a 70% chance of rain with a high of 48 and a low of 44. Then on Tuesday, it'll be a 75% chance of rain with a high of 50, a low of 46. On Wednesday, a 75% chance of rain with a high of 50, a low of 45. And then on Thursday, wrapping it up, it will be a 60% chance of rain with a high of 45 and a low of 42. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Donovan. On Sunday, our Brendan Flato went on scene to learn more about the teddy bear toss the Duquesne hockey team hosted.
O Canada played out over the speakers at Alpha Ice Complex in honor of former goaltender coach Sean Maloney, who passed away just a few years ago. This was part of the team's third annual teddy bear toss game held in his honor. Maloney spent 5 years as Duquesne's goalie coach, leading the position through his own declining health with remarkable resilience. His coaching career spanned decades, including work with NHL goaltenders and an instructional book which he wrote on the position.
The teddy bear toss for Coach Sean Maloney, who passed away 2 years ago, and he really he likes giving back to the community.
Members of the Duquesne community showed up in force, ready to toss teddy bears in Coach's honor.
24 is. As now here's a nice outlet pass on the right side. Centering shot, it's saved. Rebound, they score! Duquesne scores, and it tied at 1 and launched the teddy bears, why don't you?
That one is for you, Coach Maloney. I'm sure he's watching.
I mean, it wasn't a great throw, but I did toss it on the ice. So that was a pretty nice and really heartfelt gesture, I think, to the Duquesne hockey program there.
That will do it from the Alpha Ice Complex in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The Dukes fall to the Robert Morris Colonials. But the game was about a lot more than just the final score. It was about honoring a former coach, having some fun, and tossing teddy bears on the ice. For Voice of Duquesne Live, I'm Brendan Plato. On Wednesday, February 4th, Duquesne Student Union was busy with activity as students gathered for the Founders Week Fair, part of the university's annual celebration of its spirit and heritage and mission. The event ran from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the second floor atrium and the third floor concourse, offering students a break between classes filled with games, prizes, and free food. Organized by the Division of Mission and Identity, the Founders Week Fair invited students to stop by and enjoy a variety of activities designed to build community and highlight the values that are central to Duquesne. This includes service, belonging, and purpose. Tables around the atrium featured interactive games like ring toss and trivia, and students could spin a prize wheel to win free items like stickers, keychains, and gift cards. The event also offered free snacks and drinks so students could grab a bite while mingling with classmates. Many attendees took advantage of the giveaways and used the opportunity to chat with peers they hadn't seen since the start of the semester and make new connections. It's nice to have an event like this that reminds us we're all part of something bigger than just schoolwork, said Ian Heckelman, who was attending the fair with his friends. Founders Week itself honors Duquesne's spirit and founders and encourages the campus community to reflect on the university's mission and values. The fair was one of several planned activities meant to bring students, faculty, and staff together in a fun, relaxed setting.
The Career Center puts on a career fair every semester to help students of all levels achieve their goals. Our Kylie Crocus stopped by yesterday to learn more.
Hi, my name's Kylie, and one cool thing about Duquesne that some students might not know is that over the course of a school year, they have two big career fairs. There's one in the fall, and there's one in the spring. And the spring career fair was Wednesday, yesterday, the 11th. Well, it's today for me. I'm in my business casual attire, of course, because we went and checked it out. There's employers for like every major. There's, I think, over 85 employers. So we're going to go check that out. Let's go look. So the spring career fair did have a total of 86 employers. So there really was someone there for everybody. And we know that professors and the administrators were encouraging students to go. But what do the students think? Because they're the ones really impacted by this fair.
Hi, I'm Emily Jones. I'm an integrated marketing communications major, and I'm also doing an advertising and PR major. What got me to go to the career fair was I saw a lot of advertisements for it, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to do networking with businesses and try to find out different internship availabilities that I could do in the near future. I'm a freshman, so a lot of them were for more of the upperclassmen, but it was good to get a good intro into what to expect in my future and kind of get an idea of just where to go. And something I really liked about the career fair was that there was a big variety of different tables and businesses, and they were all very open to talking to you, and you could ask questions. You could just introduce yourself, and they were really big in just discussing the different varieties of what they offer and all of that.
Other than networking, there was so much to learn from these employers and what they do in their organization. They were handing out pamphlets, they had business cards, ways to contact them if you want to learn more or if you want to explore like further employment options. Everyone was handed a list of all the employers, which was awesome. So you kind of knew where to map out and who you wanted to check out. Speaking of map out, they also had a map of where all of the desks were. The entire thing was so put together. They even had professional headshots for LinkedIn or other kind of websites where you would need a headshot. So there were so many tables to stop by at for all majors. There was engineering, there was psychology, marketing, all kinds of majors. So there was really a table for everybody. There's going to be lots of internships and jobs being posted. A lot of people, like companies, were offering a lot of internships for students. Some were offering jobs out of graduation. So take a look on Handshake to see what's going to be posted specifically for you. And back to you guys.
Thanks, Kylie. On Tuesday night at the Night Spot in our student union, Dukes Against Cancer hosted an event called Petals for Patients. At the event, other students were invited to come and make flower bouquets out of pipe cleaners for the UPMC Mercy cancer patients. All of the supplies were provided as well as pizza from Pizza Milano's. There was a pamphlet that showed how to make 4 different types of flowers step by step. The flowers provided in the pamphlet were lilies, lavender, tulips, and a sunflower. The event ended up gathering around 60 students, allowing them to make 20 bouquets. I think the purpose of this event is really meaningful, student Addison Wessel said. It was really nice and I'm glad I went. Along with that, student Nola Nowodniak said, it was really fun and relaxing, and the fact that it was for a good cause made it that much better. The club members were super helpful with everything, stated student Megan Schobert. They were really encouraging, and you could just tell that they really cared about the cause behind the whole thing. For further information about the club, check them out on Instagram and also be on the lookout for further events on Campus Link.
Now let's head to our pop culture to keep you in the know.
Hi, my name's Kylie.
And my name is Halen, and this is Pop Culture Recap.
So we're back for another week, and as we talked about last week, this past Sunday was Super Bowl Sunday, so of course, we gotta talk about the Super Bowl halftime show.
We gotta talk about the Benito Bowl.
The Benito Bowl. The Bad Bunny Bowl was this weekend. A lot of people were really excited about it. He had a whole bunch of celebrities lined up at the beginning.
A whole bunch of celebrities.
There was Karol G.
Karol G was there. Cardi B was there.
Alex Earl was there.
For some
which
reason.
is kind of controversial because a lot of people are speculating stuff with her and Tom Brady.
A little controversial.
This is there. Pedro Pascal was there. Pedro Pascal was there.
Highlight of my night, but Jessica Alba was there.
Yeah, out of nowhere, Lady Gaga came out.
Yeah, and she performed "Die with a Smile."
But it was
like
a
different
different
version.
backgrounds. She was like dancing. It was really cool.
I actually liked that version better.
I
think a lot of people did too.
Yeah.
Some people didn't, but I felt like a lot of discourse that I was seeing was that they liked it more.
There's a lot of stuff going on in the country. There's always going to be a lot of stuff going on in the country, and people are always going to be divided. But the purpose of this halftime show, like the performance, was to show people we're better together.
For a majority of the performance, he was holding a football, and then he showed, and on the football it said, "Together we are America."
Yeah, and in the back on like a sign, it said, "The only thing stronger than hate is love." Like it was a very positive message that they were spreading with the halftime show.
Mm-hmm.
But on the topic of unity, there was a wedding. It kind of got introduced as kind of just like a part of the performance. They proposed. You kind of looked past it, and then there was like a little wedding at on a roof of something. Find out after the halftime show, the wedding was real.
It was real.
So this couple reached out to Bad Bunny because they liked his music, and they invited him to his wedding. He was like, "I'll do you one better. Get married at my halftime show performance."
I mean, what more could you want?
What more could you ask for?
What more could you want?
The whole message of the Super Bowl halftime show this year was unity, and I think really means a lot. And
it's very important.
It really just got to sit down and think about it. Like, there really is like power in unity, for lack of a better way to say it.
It was a really meaningful halftime show, and I'm pretty sure it was like 180 something billion or something
I
like
saw
that.
that it
I don't
had
know. Don't quote me.
almost, like, one of the highest, like, viewer rates in halftime show history.
Yeah.
Which is even more insane.
The set, I feel, was very good too. There was a lot of backstories to some of the things that happened and why the set was the way that it was. My favorite part, and a lot of people's favorite part about the set, was that it was surrounded by these tall grass. People thought it was just like, oh, it's just fake grass, and it was. However, the fake grass had people inside of them, and apparently there was like a job listing, and it was like you had to be 5'10" to 6'1" to be able to be a grass person at the halftime show.
It was like the Rockettes, like there was height requirements.
And it was hot too. I mean, they were in California, so it was hot. So they wore green sweatsuits. So they had like green sweatpants, green hoodie, and then I think they had like something else over top of their head. And then they had gloves on, and they had like 40 pounds of fake grass on them. Oh. I wish I could have been a grass person for the halftime show.
Wish I would have known.
I wish I would have known.
Shoe inserts into my shoes to meet the requirements. I'm almost there. I could have done it.
How tall are you?
5'6.5".
I'm unfortunately 5'3", so.
And that's okay. Maybe next time they'll have shorter
grass. A lost
grass.
dream.
Maybe the next Super Bowl halftime show will have shorter grass people.
Hopefully.
There was the one part in it where they had all of the flags in America, and by America I mean like North and South America, not just United States of America. Because I think that was like a message that he was trying to bring, and he was naming off all the countries in North and South America.
I thought it was really nice, and I really enjoyed it. There was also another part where there was like a child with his parents, and they were sitting on a couch watching Bad Bunny's Album of the Year Grammy acceptance speech. And then Bad Bunny came up and he like gave the little boy the Grammy that he won. And I thought that was really sweet. I think a lot of that was online a lot. A lot of people liked that. So
yeah, I thought that was really sweet. Overall, I think the Super Bowl halftime show this year was just very moving. It had such a strong, powerful message, but it wasn't a powerful message that was controversial or hateful. It was literally just love everybody.
Yeah.
How can you argue with that kind of message?
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it, go on YouTube. It's like 14 minutes.
Yeah, it's like 13 to 14 minutes long.
Go watch the Super Bowl halftime show, and even if you don't speak Spanish, I don't really speak Spanish. I was still dancing.
I was dancing a little bit.
It was a good time. There was good energy, good intentions, and it was just a really good performance. So I think everybody should watch it at least once, or twice, or 3 times, or 4 times.
I agree.
Yeah, but
that was pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. So thanks for joining us for another pop culture recap, and we hope that you come join us again next week. Back to you guys.
Thanks, guys. The Mary Papert Music School is always hosting a variety of artists from both inside and out of Duquesne. Our Donovan Shanley was on the scene for the latest event.
This is Donovan Shanley from Voice of Duquesne Live. On Saturday, I went to the Music Therapy Student Association benefit concert. It's an annual event that was held this Saturday from 6 to 8 p.m., and it featured different students doing different performances in the Mary Papert School of Music. This free-to-attend event was held at the Mary Papert School of Music's PNC Recital Hall from 6 to 8 p.m. The event was free to attend and showcased a multitude of student performances in many different genres of music. Alongside the student performances, there was also a raffle where students could enter to win prizes. All the money made from the raffle would be donated to Bethlehem Haven, a nonprofit organization that helps women and children who are homeless. The concert is an annual event hosted by the School of Music, dedicated to helping nonprofit organizations around the city.
So this is the Music Therapy Student Association's yearly benefit concert. This year we're raising money for Bethlehem Haven of Pittsburgh, which is a homeless shelter for women and children. Basically, we do this event as to sort of raise funds for something we all care about within the community. And it's also a great event to bring together people from within the music school and also other schools on campus. It's a great community bonding.
This is me after the concert. It definitely was a great concert. Some great performances by different students. And there were also a lot of genres that were performed, so no matter what kind of artist you listen to, you definitely could get something good out of the concert. And it's also going to a great association, so that's great as well. Back to you, Brendan.
Thanks, Donovan. Now from Provost Dawsey's Academic Insights. Duquesne has been invited to submit one application for the Integrated Research Education Grant program from Charles E. Kaufman Education, which will support a project up to $100,000 over 2 years that focuses on direct engagement of undergraduate students alongside innovative scientists engaged in basic fundamental research in Pennsylvania in the areas of biology, chemistry, and physics. This is an invitation-only program, and Duquesne University is allowed to submit only one application, which will be selected by the provost and submitted by the Office of Corporate and Foundation Relations. Faculty who are tenure track, or hold an independent research faculty appointment are invited to submit a brief proposal summary to the Office of Corporate and Foundation Relations at cfr@duke.edu by COB on Monday, February 23rd. Faculty are invited to submit proposals for the Presidential Faculty Summer Writing Program, a competitive grants program that provides funding to complete the preparation of a manuscript for publication as an article or a book, or to complete a music recording. Funding of the eligible projects is $5,000. The deadline for proposals is March 16th by 4:30 p.m.
The Office of Community Engagement invites you to attend the 3rd Annual Community Engagement Celebration, honoring the engaged work of faculty, students, staff, and community partners through their teaching, learning, research, or service. It will be held on April 29th from 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Power Center Ballrooms B and C. Certified MHFA instructors Dr. Amy Horton from Counseling Services and Bethany Gary from Career Development invite you to enroll in mental health first aid training, a skill-based training developed by the National Council for Mental Well-Being that teaches strategies for identifying, understanding, and responding to signs of symptoms of a mental health or substance use challenge. If you or your unit would be interested in receiving mental health first aid training, please complete the interest form sent in the Academic Insights, and instructors will reach out to you to discuss costs, logistics, and scheduling.
R. Morgan Carr sat down with Dr. John Mitchum to dive into his life and his relationship with the Labriola Endowment and the upcoming symposium.
Thanks, guys. Today I'm here with Dr. John Mitchum, who's going to talk about all things about him and the Labriola Endowed Symposium. So thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So what exactly is your position here at Duquesne?
So I am the chair of the Department of History, but in that capacity, I also hold a dual endowed chair as the Albert C. Labriola Endowed Chair in the Humanities, which is a new position created this past year.
Yeah, and how has your different positions before this kind of led you to this? So exactly what were you doing before this?
So I arrived at Duquesne in the fall of 2015, and I had never actually been to Pittsburgh prior to my interview, so it was brand new to the city, and I was an assistant professor, as most new faculty at Duquesne are. I was granted tenure and promotion to associate professor in 2018, and at that point also 2018. And at that point also became chair of the Department of History. And so I've been in that capacity since the fall of 2019, which has been a rocky period considering that, I've had to oversee things as a department chair. I've had to oversee a department during the COVID transition and things of that nature. But in the fall of this past year, I was surprised by President Gormley at a ceremony in fall of 2024, I was surprised by President Gormley at a ceremony with the announcement that I was named the inaugural chair of this new endowed position, the Labriola Chair.
Yeah, and so exactly how did this position come about? How was it created?
So this position, endowed chairs are a staple at all universities, or all major universities. They are to recognize scholarly excellence, service to the mission, teaching excellence, and there's generally an expectation that holders of an endowed chair, which receive additional research support and time to conduct that kind of research, are engaging in the type of public-facing research that really elevates the profile of the university, and that's certainly part of this endowed chair position as well. But what makes this endowed chair position special, I think, special to the university, and certainly special to me, is that there's a service to the humanities component to it. So Al Labriola, the chair, the endowed fund is named in honor of, was a long-term faculty member at Duquesne. He was a graduate of Central Catholic High School. He went to Duquesne for his undergraduate degree, and then he went off to Columbia and the University of Virginia for his graduate degrees, including a stint in the Vietnam War where he won the Bronze Star. But upon his return to Duquesne, he had a long and illustrious career as a scholar of early modern English literature, and ultimately ended his career as the interim dean of the McAnulty College and Graduate School of Liberal Arts. Al's legacy beyond his scholarship and his teaching was as somebody who really was able to gather together talent. He had this reputation nationally and internationally as somebody who would host these events and bring together all these experts and have these conversations. One long-term faculty member who had the fortune to work with Al referred to him as sort of an 18th century philosophe, running these salons, bringing the best and the brightest together. And so as part of this endowed chair position, and as part of the creation of this, President Gormley has charged me with once a year putting on a public symposium that celebrates some dimension or some element of the humanities and making it part of the sort of rich cultural legacy of Duquesne.
Also, what are some of the unique challenges that you kind of face within this chair?
So putting on an event is always difficult when trying to think about marketing it and thinking about your audience. What we've tried to do as the university, the college in particular, certainly puts on its fair share of academic lectures over the course of the year. And I, as chair of the history department, am responsible for a good number of those, where we bring in an academic expert to talk about an issue that has often a very sort of academic dimension to it. And as part of this Labriola Symposium in the Humanities, we want to make this is a university, right? We wanted to make it part of an academic conversation, but we really wanted to cast a wide net and to make this part of a broader conversation so that if you're a student who's interested in nursing, who's interested in physical therapy, pharmacy, business, you nonetheless have a place there. We do not want this to be an event in which a small group of people are talking to a slightly larger group of people about their common interests, but rather this is part of a conversation about why the humanities matter and why the humanities are a central part of Duquesne's educational mission. As part of that challenge, of course, is always getting people to show up, and I think that in an age of social media and immediate access to having whatever kind of information or entertainment we want, and I am as guilty of this as anyone. I have a 14-year-old daughter, and I'm constantly saying, get off your phone while I'm scrolling on my own phone. But I think there is something to be said about a group of individuals getting together in a room and having some kind of event, and in this case, a celebration as well. And so getting students to attend this is, I think, important. It's also part of the mission of what we do here.
Yeah, and so now let's talk a little bit about the symposium. So last year's was kind of about writing. What is this year's and what is the theme?
Right, so as I said, this is part of a dialogue I have with President Gormley, and in June of this past year, we sat down and we had a conversation about, what worked well on this inaugural event, what didn't work, what do we want to work on an improvement, but what are some possible themes we could pitch for this year. And as a historian, you never have to talk me into doing something about history. But President Gormley has in our conversations over the years, and I think anybody who's been at any kind of event with President Gormley has probably heard him talk about his both interest in, but also his commitment to Pittsburgh traditions. This is something that is as a native of Pittsburgh, he feels very strongly about, and something that I think many Pittsburghers and many Americans, I think, are concerned about the ways in which a younger generation doesn't always remember the traditions of their parents and their grandparents and their great-grandparents, the sort of idea of where we come from. And so one of the things that we immediately gravitated towards was how do we have a celebration of those just traditions and customs that make Pittsburgh Pittsburgh, right? And so President Gormley, who of course grew up as the Steel era was coming to its conclusion, certainly remembers many of these rich customs, which continue today. But I think that there's also a recognition that many of our Duquesne students don't particularly know the origins of many of those customs. And as we discussed in our conversation, they certainly don't remember the Steel era, but the average Duquesne student today was not alive when 9/11 occurred. And so as part of that recognition of the various customs that we either consciously or subconsciously do in Pittsburgh every day is a need to think about the origins of those customs, but just as importantly, the way we preserve those customs, through family conversations, through continuing these sort of cultural performances of dance, of music, of food, which is really, really, really important, right? When I came to Pittsburgh, I had very, very little understanding of local civic identity beyond the Steelers, and very quickly realized that food is so important to local customs and local traditions. So that's part of it. The other part of it is thinking about Pittsburgh's sort of rich tapestry of its ethnic immigration. So Pittsburgh is one of these cities that just exploded in size in the late 19th, early 20th century as immigrants from Eastern Europe, from Central Europe, from places like Italy, Ireland were coming into the region to work in these rapidly expanding steel mills. And unlike some parts of the United States where the immigrant experience, there's a sort of a quick assimilation, right? That immigrants very quickly sort of merge into sort of a local, quote unquote, American context. One of the things that makes Pittsburgh's tradition so rich and so unique is that immigrant communities have long maintained some of that separate identity, right? So you have places like Bloomfield, Little Italy, you have Polish Hill, you have the significant Ukrainian presence in the South Side. The African American experience in the Hill District is part of that migration from the Deep South. And so tying some of these ethnic and cultural traditions to the history of immigrant groups and a way in which we preserve those traditions is really, really part of this. And so the idea for this symposium quickly bound out of these conversations we had, and pretty quickly we were able to sort of nail down the kind of talent we have, but also the kinds of experiences we want students to have, to come away with from this event.
Yeah. And so exactly what type of events are going to be kind of inside this overall
Right.
branch of the symposium?
Well, I'm not going to tell you all of them because some of them are going to be a bit of a surprise, but I'm going to give you a sneak peek. So first off, we did one of the things that really stood out to us last year with the success of the poetry and creative writing symposium is that when the artists on stage were doing their readings, that was the point at which the audience was most engaged. And we really wanted to recapture that sort of performative element this year. So we have a fabulous panel on stage set up that's going to include President Gormley as the moderator, Rick Seaback from WQED, which is, of course, a household name for his documentaries and his food festivals in Pittsburgh. Dr. Kati Choman, who is the director of the nationality rooms at the University of Pittsburgh. So if you've ever been to the Cathedral of Learning and gone through those rooms, you know that that's a sort of microcosm of Pittsburgh cultural traditions in and of itself. Ron Baroff, who's a Duquesne grad and the director of historic resources out at the Rivers of Steel Museum in Homestead, which is a fabulous, fabulous institution and one of our partners. And then Terry Baltimore, who's a storyteller, preservationist, historian, community activist, wears so many different fabulous hats working with the Hill District. And so we've got a great panel on stage that's going to be talking about all these themes. But in addition to that, we're going to have what we're calling our sort of community performers. And these will be monologues, these will be a little snippet of music. We actually have a dance organization coming from the Grecian Odyssey dancers. They're going to perform traditional Greek dances. These are students and recent students that are part of this project, right, of keeping Pittsburgh traditions alive through their performative arts. And a couple of other things that I'll let be a surprise. But in other words, it's going to be a really, it's for the students out there listening, this is not coming and listening to a couple of people on stage run their mouths about something that you might not be interested in. This is very much a subject that should be of interest to you. We've got fabulous talent, and it's also going to be a really engaging process with these performances. And then to cap it off, we're going to have a Pittsburgh Food Festival. And so instead of a normal reception, we're working with our partners in Duquesne Catering to pick snippets, right? Little elements of our favorite Pittsburgh foods. Pierogies, of course, but Italian food, German food, and some food from some Jewish cuisine, right? All kinds of different stuff, capped off with, of course, nothing better than a Pittsburgh cookie table.
That's the way to go. And so how can someone attend this, whether it's a student, a community member? How would they go about admission into this?
Come on in the door. We will be sending out the announcement for this shortly. We will have a registration link because it just helps us to plan for catering, but registration is not required. I'm hoping that a lot of instructors will be giving extra credit for this event, but please do attend. It's going to be a great event. It's going to last about an hour and 15 minutes or so, followed by the food festival. It's a kind of come and go if you need. Like, we understand people are running between classes, so by all means, we hope to see as many of our students, faculty, and staff there as possible.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
today.
you.
Yeah, and make sure you stay tuned for the Labriola and Down Symposium, which will be coming very soon. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Morgan. I am Brendan.
Brendan. Next Thursday.
That was great.